Welcome. I'm Tim Fortescue, an IFS trained practitioner specializing in spiritual growth and healing. And as those who've been around for a while, you've heard me say I've worked with folks who've experienced religious trauma and those that are just seeking guidance in life and on their spiritual journey. And just here to support and be an ally however I can. And know too that I get a lot of encouragement from hosting these lives and feeling a community like this. You can find out more about me on my website, faithfullygrowing.com. As we go throughout the time today, as usual, if you have questions, type them in the chat. If you're watching the recording, go ahead and type your questions in too, and I'll do my best to answer those at the live next week. I tried to do this each Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time here in the US. So feel free to let others know. And they can access that on my website also, faithfullygrowing.com/live. Like, share, subscribe, follow, whatever works best, and share this content with others. Before I get into our meditation, let me just give a couple more commercials, I guess, even though I don't want to say that. If you have the capacity to donate to keep free services like this open, you can do that on my website, faithfullygrowing.com/donate. And recently, my community, I'm in southern Wisconsin, we experienced a community tragedy last week where there was a school shooting, something that you never think is going to happen in your community. And unfortunately, the 14-year-old shooter, who was a student at the middle school where the shooting occurred, where my son attends, was shot and was killed. Thankfully, on the other hand, no other bodily injuries occurred, but a lot of trauma. And I'm experiencing that myself and just talking through that with my own children. And so this week I'm offering, and in the weeks to come, many of my services for free to this community. And donations that come in there will help offset some of those costs and will help just broaden mental health awareness. And so if you have the capacity, grateful for any donations. If you don't have the capacity, just grateful that you're here. Keep showing up. And if you need some more support and resources, head over to my website and check that out, and particularly my blog, where you can find free meditations and insights. And then finally, if you want to reach out and send questions via email, you can always send me an email to tim@faithfullygrowing.com. And one more thing before I get into our meditation, just want to speak specifically to any men who may tune in to this. And likely, if you find a channel like this, you're probably pretty in touch with your emotions, but maybe you or others, maybe there are women who are listening who may know others who struggle with those deep emotions, and just want to acknowledge that I feel that. I get it this week. It's been hard for me to process. I'm not a verbal processor. And even though I teach meditation and do IFS coaching, getting into those deep emotions, particularly when it hits home, can be challenging. So if you know folks who have a stigma with meditation or IFS coaching, therapy, just let them know that we hear them too. And I want to support them on their journey. But I know it may take time and it may be hard, but just wanting to acknowledge that. Okay, I've talked way too much today, but I want to lead us in a meditation that actually was suggested by someone who tunes in. So I do take those suggestions seriously. And I'm going to lead us in an evening, a meditation that we would ideally use in the evening before going to bed with our parts. And if it's not quite sleep time for you, it's 9 a.m. in the morning for me. Just kind of reframe this however it makes sense, and I'll try to help as I lead us through. But let's begin the meditation. Find a comfortable position. Likely it's going to be lying down in this case. And I encourage you to close your eyes for this meditation and begin to notice your parts. It may be helpful to say something like, "Hi, all. It's the end of the day. I'm in bed. It's time for us to rest and recharge." And reframe that if you need to for your context. Maybe just say something like, "I'm here." Just check in and see how you're noticing your parts in or around your body, and see if you can send them a little compassion. If it's hard to do that, it's likely another part, and just see they'd be willing to soften back and just give some space with the other parts and just witness collectively. And let your parts know there's no agenda here. We're just getting curious, about to get some rest. Just want to see if we can help calm those voices in our head. And thank them for their courage and for their help today. And there may be a part that doesn't quite believe you that you're actually gracious. It may be helpful to say something like, "Yeah, you too. You're welcome. You need to be here. I need you." And as you continue to notice the parts that are present, see if you can continue to send them some compassion and curiosity. And if you're not able to, just realize that's likely another part, and just see if it could soften back and give you some space. And from that place, it may be helpful to ask, who would like to share something before we go to sleep, before we rest? What else do you want me to know? Ask your parts that. What do you need from me? What do you need to let go of? Is there anything that you need to let go before we rest a bit and go to sleep? How can I help you before we all rest? And you might have some parts that aren't ready to rest. Let them know that they can stay up a little later or read a book while you rest. They can play, but you need to rest. They can come join you when you're ready, when they're ready. And what was your best about the day? Any parts want to chime in on that? And let them know what your best was. And what was your worst? Ask your parts that and see if they want to chime in. Maybe it's helpful to turn to each one. Just let them know that you still see them all. What they struggle with today. If it feels right, let them know that you get it and that you understand. And share with them some of your struggles. Remind them who you are and see if they can see those other parts that are joining. They're part of a greater team that's spearheaded by you at your belovedness, at your core. And let them know that you're grateful for them and for their courage and showing up. Maybe they want to share some gratitude or you want to voice some more gratitude. What were you grateful for today? Just sit with that for a bit and with your parts. Just see if there's anything else before we begin to wrap up. For those that want to be tucked in, go ahead and tuck them in. Maybe those that weren't quite ready to be tucked in, they may be ready to be tucked in now. Just give them a choice to come back or to know that they can come when they're ready. Just because they play all night, it doesn't mean that you're going to be tired tomorrow because you're going to get rest. They can be kids. Sleep in, but they bring gifts that make you whole who you are. Then just bid all your parts good night. It's not night. And thank them again for their courage and as much or as little as they shared. Then when it feels right, you can bring your mind back to the moment where you are. If you're about to rest, you can just continue to drift off to sleep. Just see if you're experiencing a little more calmness and safety, and you can extend that to your broader system. Yeah, get the rest you need, and so you can embark on just that peace and safety and wholeness with your parts when you wake up. Thanks so much for joining me for this meditation. Hope it was helpful. I'll hang around for just a bit. If you have questions, you can type them in the chat. If you're watching a recording, go ahead and engage in the chat too, and I'll address those questions next week. I do this each Tuesday at this same time, 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern here in the US. You can always send me an email to tim@faithfullygrowing.com if you need some help or have questions, but grateful for you joining me here live or with the recording. And have a great week and be gentle with yourself. Take care.